go ahead and call tonight's city council meeting to order. Tonight's invocation, we have Pastor James Jones from the Taylorville Christian Church.
God, it's a blessing to be in your presence because we know that you are everywhere. And tonight we entrust that each person in this room, being in your presence, will seek out your guidance. Especially our leaders, God, we're thankful for the wisdom that you provide for them, and we pray that you would tonight, but that you always would. And God, we also thank you for our country, and we pray that you'll preserve it and give us strength as a country and bring us together as well. We pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Larry Bud.
Here.
Tom Little.
Here.
Eddie Dorchenez.
Here.
Ron Tripoli.
Here.
Bruce Jones.
Here.
Jim Olive.
Here.
Mark Voda.
Here.
Bill Walters.
Here.
All 8 aldermen present. Okay, we have a motion to utilize the omnibus vote for approval of the previous meetings and the public hearing listed on tonight's agenda under the title omnibus vote designation. A motion by Alderman Dorchenez, second by Alderman Jones. Discussion or comment? Roll call, please.
Tom Little.
Yes.
Bruce Dorchenez.
Yes.
Ron Tripoli.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Mark Voda.
Yes.
Bill Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Okay, the minutes we'll be approving will be the minutes of the public hearing held July 18th, 2016. Minutes of the regular meeting held July 18th, 2016. Minutes of the Finance Committee meeting held July 21st, 2016. Minutes of the Ordinance Committee meeting held July 21st, 2016. Minutes of the Public Facilities Committee meeting held July 28th, 2016. And minutes of the Street and Sewer Committee meeting held July 28th, 2016. I entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved, John.
Walters, your second. Second by Alderman Heberling. Discussion or comment? Roll call.
Larry Dorchenez.
Yes.
Ron Tripoli.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Mark Voda.
Yes.
Bill Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Tom Little.
Motion passes 8-0. Okay, first thing we have is a resolution. This, the Ameren Illinois Company doing business as Ameren Illinois Acknowledgement and Consent Agreement for the Bussey Trust Company as successor trustee under the Ruth L. Long Trust dated March 22nd, 2001.
I'll make that motion, John, as I started to speak to.
Okay, the second? Second. Bud, discussion or comment? Roll call.
Ron Tripoli.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Mark Voda.
Yes.
Bill Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Tom Little.
Yes.
Larry Dorchenez.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Next, we have a resolution regarding the release of property damage claims. This will be the signal light at Route 48 and Lincoln Trail. Entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved, John.
Alderman Walters.
Second with a comment.
Second by Alderman Voda. Go ahead with your comment.
Okay, the second page, gentlemen, I guess it would be page 3 of the document. At the bottom, notwithstanding any herein contained the contrary, are we pursuing that amount of money, or where do we stand on that, the balance of?
The city attorney address that.
Speak to that. This is the release they proposed to us. The language you were referring to is what I drafted to add to it. The actual amount of the damages was $5,886.96. But from what we understand, that the gentleman who was at fault only had a $20,000 policy. So they were offering $3,000 as a prorated share to cover all the damages. Pam has had a conversation with a gentleman with Stan Clow at IDOT, who has at least assured her on the phone that once we sign the release and get the $3,000 from the insurance company, she then can request the state to make up the difference. He has verbally said we'll do that, but he doesn't know when it's going to happen. We all know what the state of the flux of the state payments are, so we don't know. So I just had the thought that let's put this in a release, that we're only going to release the gentleman that caused the problems if we get our money, the extra money. Now, if they refuse to sign that, we'll have to come back and do something else, but that's what I'm suggesting we do.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Bruce Jones.
Are we voting on the language that's not in here as well?
The language is there.
Well, what Martin was talking about, you said you were wanting to add something to that,
It's
What?
the answer
I'll do that
is
to the
in.
bottom.
It's
Okay.
the bottom is what I put in there.
There's a reference star right above the signature.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
You're voting
Okay,
on the
yes.
Okay. Jim Olive?
Yeah, I'll be
Mark
ready in a
Voda?
second.
Yes.
Earl Walters?
Yes.
Mary Bud?
Yes.
Sean Bertle?
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez?
Yes.
Rob Heatherly?
Motion passes 8-0. Next, we have a resolution regarding Spyglass Snapshot Audit Agreement and letter of agency, authorization to access telephone provider records. This is a company we actually, a year or two ago, they come look over your bills. If they can find savings, you know, they obviously take their cut out of that and then, you know, pass the savings along and how it's supposed to work. And then the last time they didn't find enough to make it worthwhile. So they wanted to take another look this time. I did have the city attorney look it over. If you wouldn't make any.
Yeah, if I can comment on it, I'm
Sure.
gonna ask you, if you look, there's a audit agreement on the first page, and then they're asking the mayor to sign this authorization for access, and that's really the letter I have an issue with. I've talked with the city clerk on that. If we sign it as is, it will allow them, complete access to all your records and login information and passwords to get into your system. And we're talking to Pam, she understands that the last time they only gave you 2 months of a paper copy, and that's what she would intend to do, this go around. So I would suggest that, we adopt a resolution such a form as you may approve, Mr. Mayor, is that we do some cross-outs on that and not give that carte blanche authority, just to give them the authority, what Pam intends to give them for 2 months to look at it. The other issue that I raised is that apparently these, some of your employees use the city phones for their personal use, making phone calls, text messages, so forth. And I had some question about the confidentiality or privacy concerns, but Pam was checked, and I believe, at least from the police department, she was informed that all employees were told, if you use it for personal, it's up to that, so that's what, the employees just need to know that.
And I think we have flexibility. I mean, they don't have to look at that. If we don't want them to look at that, it's our call. You know,
Well,
obviously,
the way this is written, no.
Sure. I mean,
You can tweak it to make it.
if we
suit
want
the
them to do
stats.
that, they will. I mean, that's, you know, that's what he said. If we sign off on that, that would allow them to do it if we want them to do it. Because I can turn around and call them on the phone and say, we decided not to take it to that depth, forget the cell phones, and they'll check the other lines.
So you've had the conversation,
Yeah.
that's your understanding, we'll just tweak it a little bit to make sure it's there on paper. So that's my suggestion, we revise it for you.
Alderman Heatherly.
So we're not necessarily voting for what's written here.
You're voting, good question, you're gonna vote for the audit agreement, let them do what they're gonna do. He's going to sign some kind of authorization to let them see the records. And I think, he's had a conversation with them, but I think you want to limit to what your expectations are. That is, give them 2 months of your phone records and let them see if they can save you some money. And the mayor said, we're not gonna go that level with cell phone, you know, examination, so we'll have to change this letter. But this letter opens up, you get everything that they want, and they get your password and your login, and.
So we're voting on this agreement plus your stipulations.
Right, if that's.
Okay.
You guys all agree there.
Okay.
Just one
Alderman
question.
Voda?
Did they approach us or did we pursue them?
No, they approached us.
Okay.
Anyone else?
What is the cost of this?
Well, it's actually on the contract there, one of them,
So that's, like,
Yeah.
just look at the first page, at the fees under paragraph 2, there's no charge unless they save you some money when you read it. And they get 50% of any quote cost recovery, and then the other 2 items are cost reduction savings and service elimination savings. It's 12 times whatever the savings is, so I don't know how that
Well,
works out.
it's the monthly, and then they take it times 12 to get a year.
So a year payment savings.
That's money that, in theory, we're throwing away anyway, so. Anyone else? Any motion?
So
Everly? Second?
Okay.
Alderman Bertle? Further discussion? Roll call.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Mark Voda?
Yes.
Earl Walters?
Yes.
Mary Bud?
Yes.
Sean Bertle?
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez?
Yes.
Rob Heatherly?
Yes.
Bruce Jones?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. The next resolution I'll hold and defer to the street tour committee motions. Let's drop down to the next ordinance to provide for the purchase of digital radio system equipment and services and authorizing the borrowing of funds therefore. Entertain a motion. Alderman Bertle?
Second.
Alderman Heatherly? Discussion or comment?
Okay, we, through this Global Tech, they've agreed to sell it at this cost, and there's no extra cost included. Because originally we were going to finance this through them.
Right, right, and the chiefs checked with them, and they, apparently there's no extra
You're
cost.
okay with that?
Yeah.
And just, and I think you've all, I've included you in all the emails I've been having over the weekend with myself and so forth, trying to get this put together. I got an email, just about an hour before 5 o'clock, or around 4 o'clock. He want this sentence added to the ordinance, and I'm just gonna read it out loud. Pam has got it. It just says in section 3, the last sentence will read, "The city designates the note as a quote, qualified tax exempt obligation," end of quote, as provided in section 265, parent B, parent 3 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. Mr. Southworth, the gentleman's gonna get the tax exempt attorney opinion letter, ask that we put that in the ordinance, and then he's gonna issue a tax exempt letter once we adopt this, and there's a couple of forms to the bank, so that the bank will be satisfied as a tax exempt obligation to them, the interest won't be taxed to the bank. And you've seen a copy of my proposed opinion letter about the legality of this, so just to kind of backtrack, is that, remember, the people are gonna say the equipment was at 3.55%, the local bank, People's Bank is going to do it for 1.55%, so it is a substantial savings to the city. And if we sign all this, and they're ready to issue the money tomorrow.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Al Beverly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Oliver.
Yes.
Motion passes, passes 6-0. Mayor votes?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Okay, next we have an ordinance annexing certain territory to the city, Waddington Seniors Villages property, north and adjacent to 110 East Heights. For discussion, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion, Your Honor, with comment on Walters.
Second, for discussion. Second. Going once.
Second.
Alderman Dorchenez. Okay. All right, Alderman Walters.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just for clarification purposes, for everyone to know, the parcel contains 39,966 square feet, which is 0.9175 of an acre. It's not even 1 full acre.
Anyone else have? Alderman Bud.
Well, I was at the county when they did the zoning at the county. And I've talked to the gentleman who was right next door to it, somebody who was right next door to it, and I've got a problem with this. First of all, we have a lift station right there where this drive's going in at. And we've got a lot of money invested in that lift station. And then second of all, you've got all of that noise that's gonna go over there, and that he's gonna have to listen to that noise and have all that traffic. And I happened to be over this afternoon talking to him, and the drive that they have on the west side, I have no clue who it was, but some idiot coming out of that drive just flying out of there and heading towards, Sandy Duffin. If we have people coming that drive there, and they get as crazy as that guy was, and lose that, they're coming right into Sonny's house. Or Mr., and another thing is, I know that, I seen the letter here just a few minutes ago, that Joe Green has approved the site plan. But what I question is why none of that came to the city council, at least to a committee, and we weren't able to review that. And then second of all, is why we weren't informed anything in between much on this. I remember, it's been a long time ago, it was brought up about this, but then we mentioned about there'd be a site plan that we would review, and we would be able to have some control. And all of a sudden, I get back from vacation, and I see we're voting on an annexation plan. And I think that, we should have been better informed, and I can't support it, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, as far as the property, I think we talked about it 5 or 6 months ago. I think they came and saw George first, and that's kind of how I heard about it. And they just wanted to have the acre for parking. And then we talked about the site plan and was it necessary or not. And we've always said that if our city engineer looks at it, and what happened here, they had their own engineer, he provided all the numbers and everything else, gave that to Joe. Joe was satisfied with those numbers, and so that no reason to make them double charge for 2 engineers when I agree with what they've got here. So if you just,
If you look at the plans that we've got, and I looked at his plans this afternoon, at least it does give you 2 different sets of plans for the parking that they're going to do. And there's going to be a retention pond back there in what appears to be the northwest corner. And you're gonna have all that traffic coming right down this gentleman's, by his house, you know, and he's had a quiet right there, and now he's gonna have all this traffic. There's several vehicles that park there at that apartment complex, and, you know, here we're gonna take and disturb him. We have a lift station right there that could potentially be damaged. You're gonna have all that snow in the winter months that they're gonna be pushing over towards this gentleman. And I think that we should have been more informed and had some say so. And this is next, it's my understanding that we have no control of it, none. We take it as it is.
I mean, it's like anything else, if it was your property, my property, anything else, if I meet the guidelines there, then I guess the answer is no. I mean, if there's nothing they have to come back to the city for, then I think you're probably correct. Does anyone open up the floor just for a little bit to hear from them? Can I have a motion to open?
Make a motion to open the floor.
Can I say something?
Yeah, one second.
I'll second.
Second by Voda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Sonny, go ahead, say
All right,
that.
on this whole thing, with the drive coming down beside my house, number one, to me, it's gonna take away the value of my house. If I want to sell that house, with that traffic coming down and going back, it's gonna take away the value. Number two, they have that parking area there, why can't they take that and reverse that when they get done parking and go out in front of it and come out the same way they came in? I don't see no reason for that. Number two, three, as the snow, we get snow drifts now there, believe me, we really, really do. And not only there, we get on the side and also on the back, the complete way. When they start pushing snow, how are they gonna push that snow? They ain't gonna push it long ways, and it's gonna go over with me.
Let me ask, is anyone, the engineers or representing the company?
I'm Steve Cooper with Baskin Sales Engineering. And we did, like I said, like you had mentioned earlier, I sent Joe a site plan early on to get his opinion of it. He didn't have any concerns, so then we put a full set of plans together. We did all the drainage calcs to make sure we weren't gonna flood the neighbor. We were gonna release it at the same rate it's being released now into the city's storm sewer. So because there was really no option to it, we went with this design. Like you said, we didn't have to have a variance or anything. So we felt comfortable with the process as it was going on. This is what the client wanted, so this is how we pursued it.
I just throw the question out there, the retention pond they're talking about, is that absolutely necessary?
It is necessary because we did add concrete pavement to the site where it used to be grass. So there will be water leaving the site more quickly. So we had to have the pond to hold the water so we didn't inundate your storm sewer.
Okay, you move the pond down a little bit farther?
The pond is, I mean, for the most part, the pond is as far west as it goes. I mean, we show some contours on the east side next to your property, but that will be, I mean, for the most part, water, that's to collect the water and send it west.
Okay, how about the alley leeway that you have here?
The what now?
The alley leeway you have where my lot ends, Joe Green 2 or 3 years ago was surveying out there, and I was out there with him. He said, this is where your lot ends, and here to the cornfield is an alley leeway. So where do we stand on that?
Utility easement.
So
That's what he told me.
Utilities, there is a utility easement back along,
It's a utility easement.
I think it was an electrical easement just along the existing north property line.
Right.
And I'm not sure how far east it went. I know it was on the senior village property.
He said it goes all the way down.
And that was probably put in when the subdivision was dedicated years ago, just for an easement for whether it's electric or the sanitary sewers back there. So I'm assuming it was for that purpose.
But that's
And
on
also-
the existing property, so you don't pick up any extra room, right?
Right, that won't affect.
And also, this fence, like he brought up, it's a dangerous area right there. I know when I back out of my driveway, I look, I don't see nothing, and then before I know it, I got one coming at me. And somebody isn't looking when they're driving down that drive, and somebody's walking east and going west behind that fence, they're gonna get hit.
And I know the fence, is 14 feet off the back of curb of the pavement. And I measured up a vehicle today at Dodge Durango, and I'm not saying, I understand your concern, but if you're on a Dodge Durango, from the end of the vehicle to where the drive roots is about 9 feet. So I felt comfortable that, you know, I understand it's, somebody could still whip around there, but you could still back up and not be in the street and still see where if cars are coming.
You're not there.
And I understand that.
Believe me.
Right.
He says they can, it doesn't mean they do.
Right.
Like I say, when I start to back out, I see no cars.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get halfway out, I got one behind me.
Okay.
And that's a dangerous area. I still don't see why they can't restrict this and go out the other way.
Let me, Alderman Burl.
Was there any discussion about underground retention instead of a pond on top of the ground?
Not a whole lot of discussion, I think because of cost. Once they, I guess early on in the project, they had already talked about purchasing the property. So there was really never a discussion about underground. It is more expensive to go that way.
That would solve every problem that's brought to attention tonight. Parking lot would be bigger, you could go in and out the same direction, eliminate the exit on the.
In theory, if you eliminate it on the east side, there's room to expand you may not have to expand the detention pond, because if you get rid of what's on the east side of the property, you will have to make the parking lot bigger behind the building, but you'd have to run the numbers and try to evaluate how much bigger it would have to be if it needs to be bigger.
I never seen water flood back there to begin with.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it shouldn't flood now, I mean.
Believe me.
But other than cost, that's an option.
Cost and then,
Other than cost, that's an
and
option.
time frame. I think they want to close on the property in 2 weeks, that everything lined up. You know, with their financing through the housing authority, they had, from my knowledge, 2 weeks when they want to close and be moving on the project. I don't know what happens if all that doesn't happen in 2 weeks.
And I don't want to speak for this entity, but we always are under the gun, it seems like, when we get these projects. Everybody's in a hurry to get a loan, everybody's in a hurry to get a project started, completed, whatever.
Right.
If they're that tight, they probably should allow a little more time, but that's just.
Is that drive gonna be 16 foot wide?
It is
On the plans, it shows 16.
That's what it reads on this program.
16, yes.
All right.
We don't have.
Plus, on the side of my land and close to your property line, there's a great big line going down and it sinks. It's real low. I don't know whether it belongs to the sewer line, which I don't think it does.
You're saying the ground sank?
Yes.
Okay.
And you start pushing snow there, it's gonna be more.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any other comments?
Like I say, I know any of these gentlemen here and back here, they wouldn't want that going between their house. You know that and I know it.
Yeah, and I've talked to you, I mean, I would be upset if it was next to my house as well. The flip side of this, and since we do represent all the citizens of Taylorville, they are investing about $10 million in purchasing these projects. They're gonna use some local labor, so a lot of money would be coming to our local workers. That's the other side of the coin. So.
And we did try to go through Joe right up front because we want to make sure there's no problem. We didn't want to run into this situation, unfortunately we had, but that's why we did go to Joe when we first started. He had no concern, told me we had to go ahead, so that's why we proceeded.
Now Jeff did say they could put up a fence there, which I do not want. When you look out your windows, what are you gonna look at? You're gonna look at a fence. You're not gonna see anything else. And it's,
I know it would be better not to have it there, but if you have your choice between having it there and the fence,
I know,
or
with
fence,
so much property you have behind there, why can't they redo that?
Getting rid of the driveway?
No, the way you got a park in here, have them go around this way and go out instead of coming
Oh.
down. That's what I'm getting at. Go out on the north side of it.
I believe, well, when we looked at it, we thought this was the easiest way for the tenants to get in and out of there, you know, that way you're not having cars trying to go, you know, oppose each other, you just have them come in and go out the other way.
Plus you got air conditioners on his house, on the side of the high rise, and I got air conditioners on my side.
No.
I got a quick question for
Alderman Burke.
Rocky, if you got just a second. The process here, we're voting on annexing the property in tonight. And then after that happens, then the site plan will go to the planning zone, correct?
Well, it doesn't sound, what I'm hearing is that Jill has already said the site plan was not necessary.
Well, they can't bypass that
But-
portion of it. it has to go to planning and zoning at some point.
I was told by Joe Green it didn't have to, because, for whatever reason, I don't know.
It's any of them.
We never did answer me on this alley.
Over an acre that you have to have.
I believe it's just an easement, I don't think there's a dedicated alley back there.
He says it's an easement.
That's what, an easement, so that's just,
Let's say concentrate on the question.
Yeah.
So is that the process? If it's under an acre, then we don't. have to
George is
find
shaking
it.
his head.
When we change that, anytime it's determined by the city engineer, because the question came up to Dick and I, and I knew they were looking at annexing property, and they wanted to put a parking lot. So, I didn't know if this was all new to me, because we've done weird stuff. You guys can't remember who it was, but we had some property that they didn't annex in, and they did some stuff on it anyway, but they had to drive across city property. Anyway, I got the question on this. I said the best thing to do, because it's adjoining, and what I saw their drawings, this needs to be reviewed. My opinion was to Joe Green. I took it to Dick. Dick said the same thing. So I knew they had the date for the rezone with the county, and at that point in time, I don't know how the county rezoning does, but that's where the questions come up. What are you going to do with the property? And I don't know if they showed drawings that night or not. I don't know.
I appeared before the county board
Did
that
they show-
night,
did they
and
show drawings?
What they told me was, it's going to go to the city and up to the city.
Okay, all right, so then anyway, I had them guys send all their plans to Joe. Then at that point in time, when this was getting closer, I went into Pam's office, and Pam and I called Joe, and I go, Joe, what are they gonna have to do? And that's when he prepared that letter, and he goes, look, the calculations are all there, they can build it. And I said, okay.
My question would be, if that's the case, if it's under an acre and that eliminates the site plan for the rest of us to review, and I've been preaching this for about 2 years now, that we need to update the subdivision ordinances and our process in which this happens, and maybe comprehensive plan, so it seems like that we treat different entities differently, depending on what they're building and how big the lot is. And maybe some cases that's good, but it seems like it's not good in most cases.
In this case though, Sean, okay, if you wanna change the book again, you can change it, but we had it just those two ways, the acre and a half or two buildings, and then we put it in there, or any time determined by the city engineer that there was a problem. So I had them send all this stuff to Joe, and at that time, Joe reviewed it and said it didn't need to go to planning commission, for whatever reason. I don't pay him, I don't know what happened there, but that's why Pam and I asked, because we want to know what the procedure was. If they annexed, could they start? Because didn't you get a call or something, they were doing some dirt work or something, and we called, it's been approved, they can do it.
Well, when you,
That's not my question.
Okay, go ahead.
Rocky, and we still have the option not to annex it, if we wish not to annex it.
That's correct, and I'm just looking here, so, your ordinance under 1116 defines a large-scale development in three different ways here. So that's where you're getting the acre, but it says here that, let me get back there, just look at large-scale development, that's when a site plan is required. That is defined as a land subdivision, which involves the construction of multifamily commercial building on a lot of parcel of land 1 acre or more in size. That's where you're getting acres. Or 2 or more principal multifamily commercial buildings on a lot of parcel, or parcel of land of any size, 2 or more principal multifamily commercial buildings on a lot of parcel of land of any size served by an internal street and utility distribution. I don't see anything in here about a parking lot, that's all I gotta do. And that's the issue, probably what Joe was grasping with, because the way you got it written now, is if you're gonna have some kind of, building zone. And then your site plan comes and you talk about all that stuff.
George, you got something?
And since we have the city attorney here, I just got this question to pop out there. If you guys don't approve the annexation tonight, all right, the county's already rezoned it. They can build can they build a parking lot in the county?
You have control within a mile and a half of your corporate limits. They're zoned in the county, the use can't be under county uses, but what they put there has to be according to your regulations. I think Joe's concern was the fact that they were gonna be putting water into your storm sewer. He wanted the system, wanted to make sure that it was gonna be adequately protected. That's what I thought Joe's involved in.
It was my concern because it was gonna be next to Sonny Bertuzzi's house where they showed that driveway. And that's why I said, Dick, we better send this to Joe and get his blessing on this. And that's when you guys got that letter that they didn't have to do a site plan. He approved it, and that's where we are. So I think Dick and I did our part, man. I mean, that's why I was concerned for the neighbors.
Let me start down here. Bruce,
Okay.
this way.
When you guys sent that to Joe, did you give him the concern that there is a neighbor that this is going to?
Sure.
So Joe had that information.
Yeah, I said, well, I mean, we've got a map. He knows that this is all residential right next to it.
I understand that, but I mean, you guys told him that you got a neighbor that he said that this is gonna be a big problem.
Well, I didn't know it. I didn't even know.
Okay, so Joe did not have the
We just knew,
information.
no, we had,
Okay.
I knew we're putting a parking lot, we're putting a driveway next to residential. I was concerned on any kind of drainage problems, okay?
Yeah,
And that they were not gonna ingress egress, they're only gonna exit only. But again, that was my concern, and that's why I got to Joe for those guys' review. Because I didn't wanna have him getting water dumped on him.
okay.
That was my concern.
Okay, that was your concern, was the water. and
Correct.
stuff. So hydraulically, everything works.
Yes.
The one thing is that since this was not brought before the city council, and although Mr. Bertucci had an opportunity to speak on behalf of himself, the lift station I did not know about. Where is this road in conjunction to the
Right
lift
here, you
station?
want to see it?
Yeah.
Please.
I've got, you wanna see a plan? Yeah, I'd love to see a plan. 'cause I haven't
Didn't you
done
say
it.
that's better? Didn't you say that would be
Here's my house.
better for you?
It is for me.
You say that, you say that.
Yeah, I don't show his driveway on here, but I show where our,
Hey, you
where
probably
our
told Joe that, didn't you?
entrance
Yeah,
is.
let's say
This
it's been there for how many?
fence is that line with the X in it.
Okay.
Hey,
Great.
So, and then,
We need to reorganize. So.
Being the
saying
poor's open,
This
can I
is,
speak?
this would be the fence line?
What's that?
And you're coming
Being the
around?
poor's open, can I
right,
speak?
you can
The
see
lift
the
station.
The fence is that line with
You
the
can
X
get
in it
your-
right
yeah,
there.
you
That
can
is
get
the lift station, right there.
Yeah, go ahead and stand up.
This way right here.
Yep.
So how far?
That road in there would help us out at our lift station.
I'm not.
Just like I said the other night at the street and sewer committee meeting, if that lift station, if we gotta clean it out, we can pull on that road to clean it out. Cause Sonny don't want us to get on his drive anymore.
They're coming down.
That's the only way we can get in to clean out the lift
And
station.
this is very,
That's
you got stop
what I'm
signs here,
talking
you got
about.
stop signs here, and people, they, you know, you damn good and well, they go right through it.
Let him finish that, then one second.
Thank you. Good job, Frank.
I'm
a simple person, I know I'm stupid, but if you're gonna spend $10 million on a damn parking lot,
No,
what you said is a $10 million project, am I wrong?
No, that was for both projects, for both housing things, doing the renovations.
Okay, go back, they're gonna do $10 million worth of
Yeah, we
work.
have to probably change this to 90 degrees.
Okay.
X, patch out, and so Jimmy, somebody pulls in here, there's my spot, they pull in there and then back up and then leave the same. I know what Sonny's saying, but
We're talking
that's
10
option,
million.
I mean, that's,
not 10 million.
that's option, that's what more pavement.
Yeah, but still,
And then
we're talking
to get
$10 million.
the pond, you need,
Okay.
I don't know what you got to do with the pond, but they might have to, purchase more property.
7-9-1.
Because you are adding, trying to get the road in here, we already have a 4-to-1 slope, so you can't slope your road. They want to put a shared access, lawnmower, whatever, I'm not sure, but you're looking at.
Last four.
Last
four.
Mhm.
It's up four. You're just ready?
Biggest thing is down to get us to grade more, still have a pond.
designate the large scale.
That's like water, that's like here. This is just normal property line. So it's, I think it's 5 foot, which is along the source line. For, I mean, electric, I think sanitary sewer.
Under their $363 bill. You know anything about the way you should get a ground cooler? Yeah, tell her thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Was it a table anonymous?
No. Well, so you can tell her I said thanks.
And like I said, I went to Joe thinking, whatever hurdles we had to go through, I wanted him to be aware.
His study's good for the Trent Historical Society.
In doing your house, reconstructing your house, you have to have a permit. You don't have to have a permit to do this.
Well, they have to have a permit for building. If they build something, they would have to have a permit.
You don't have to have a permit to put a drive like that in a.
No, if you were doing a drive in your house, you didn't have a permit for the drive.
Just to follow up with the comment earlier, you have another code provision. You heard me say what the definition of large scale development was. Doesn't appear that parking lot would be. But in 2012, you adopted an ordinance that included that a site development plan is required when shared access easements are being used, or when the development is a large-scale development, which this is not, or in other instances determined by the city engineer. So you gave the power to the city engineer to make that decision. Back in 2012.
We did that because we didn't want every single person to come up here and have to have this discussion with every place they were gonna plan.
Change that ordinance, that's what you got now. You need it.
All of those.
Okay, I don't think the question is whether we were willing to annex or not. I think we're all in agreement we were willing to annex this property. I think some of the concern, if I remember the previous conversations, was the runoff, because we're going with a hard surface as opposed to the rock or whatever's back there now. So that would affect what we have in the way of waters coming into our sewer systems. So that's been addressed in the site plan you provided,
Yes.
okay, which we respect that. What we didn't expect was Mr. Bertucci to come in and have his thoughts and expectations and concerns to be addressed in a very short window of time. And I respect that, okay? I don't like that, but it is what it is right now. I've talked with Mr. Budd a little bit. I know what his thoughts are. He's one of the aldermen there in that ward. Mr. Olive, you've been pretty quiet about this issue. I don't know if you have an opinion or not, but I do want to, like any other discussion that goes on, something that's going to change in the ward, I'd like to hear from the 2 aldermen in the ward. I mean, we've been very well respected, Rob and I, when something goes on in ours. I know where Mr. Budd is. I don't know if Mr. Olive has an opinion, but I'd like to hear it if he does.
Let me ask you, are we ready to close the floor?
I don't think we're quite ready to close the floor yet, because if he has comments, in my opinion, then somebody may want to rebut what he has to say or want to chime in. So I would like to leave it open just a little longer. Charles?
I have to agree with Larry, and we talked about this the other night in committee. I was not in favor of it then, because I don't think that the traffic flow coming out on the east end of the building is the actual way to do it. Retention ponds, I'm not a big fan of them. I think that there could be other ways of doing things to make a circular traffic flow. In committee the other night, rezoning or none of this was ever brought up. I was kind of, when I read through the minutes for the meeting, I was somewhat blindsided, I guess, because I had no idea about that. It had never been mentioned. It wasn't brought up in the meeting, so I'm not in favor of it. I think there needs to be the timing of it. I think Mr. Ducey, he brings up some very good points. So I think that needs to be reevaluated in some way, shape, or form. Site plan needs to be brought. I don't like the fact that we didn't see anything. I probably wouldn't have anyway, because I'm the new guy on the block, but I think in the future that something like this, it needs to be brought before the council, for whatever size it is, to eliminate problems such as this. I think because we owe it to the citizens to get their opinion, because this is in very close proximity to your home, and I respect that, and I respect the idea that you're up here voicing your opinion of it.
Okay, well, I mean, the flip side of that argument is, the reason we went this way is, are you gonna take it down to every house now that it's a site plan? If someone's putting a large house on the other side of you, are they gonna have to come up here and give us a site plan on what the water's gonna do? If it's a neighborhood church or something that's small, are we going to make them come up here and do that as well? I mean,
We had a church that was just represented up here, a couple weeks ago, and they kind of explained what they was going to do. So,
And-
that's kind of the same thing, in my opinion.
I'm gonna go back to my original question. I'll ask the engineer, and I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Steve.
Steve. Are you telling us there are 0 options on this plan the way it is now? The retention pond cannot be reversed, underground retention can't be applied, or more ground purchase and retention pond move farther to the north, is it north?
You could purchase more property, I mean, if the developer wants to do that. I mean, there are options, yes.
And I know that developers, they're always on us about cost. But when it's a cost associated with the neighbor's property, it's a big deal to him.
Right.
So the developer at the time, it's not a real big deal to them. And we had a situation out here by Walmart, we had the same issue. And I know they're always in a hurry, they always wanna save money, and they want,
Right.
almighty, they wanna make a profit, and I understand that. But if you're gonna belittle somebody's or drive the value down on somebody's home, or somebody's property next to you, I think you have to take those into consideration.
In the developer's defense, we started this project many months ago. It was wintertime, and we took it to the city engineer, the proper channels that I thought we had to go through, and he never brought up any stipulation about, you can't do this, or you can't do that, you're gonna need variance for this, or variance for that. We met all the city ordinances, he approved it, so we went through and designed it. And, they've been pushing for several months now to get it annexed and get it approved, because they have a time frame with the housing authority where they have to meet a certain time frame if they want this project to keep going. And I think the annexation process took them longer than they thought it would, having to go to the county and the city. And because of that kind of pushed them behind a little bit as well. But they do have a 2-week window, start from today, I was told, that they have to get it approved and get all the paperwork to the housing authority to get it to move forward. And like I said, I thought we did our homework early on, getting it to Joe, and I had numerous conversations with him, and he never once led me to believe we'd have any kind of issues, and I felt pretty comfortable with everything we gave him and the communication I had with him. So that's where we stand, I mean, are there other options? Yeah, like you said, they could buy more property, you could probably put underground storage in, but they've been at this for, several months now, and now you're just pushing it down the road farther, and they're gonna miss deadlines, and then we'll have to redesign it. So there's a lot of, that's gonna go back into it, so.
I know this is minor, what I'm gonna bring up right now. I mean, the parking lot back there we were talking about. I've been out there for 5 years. And they got parking in front of the high-rise and on the west end of the high-rise. I've never once seen any car that had to go across the street and park, because they didn't have a parking area. And I realized they want to put more parking area back there, I realized that.
Right.
But
And Jeff told me that was a complaint from the tenants that they wanted more parking, that's why
I
this
realized
is going, so.
But, I'm looking at my angle of it.
Right, I understand, you're there, you witnessed it, so I understand that.
I'm getting up my years, and I might wanna move on.
All right, let's, I entertain a motion to close the floor. Second?
Good job, man.
Roll call, please.
Earl Walters?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Sean Burdell?
Yes.
Rodney Dorchenez?
No.
Rob Heatherly?
Yes.
Bruce Jones?
No.
Jim Olive? Martin Gordon?
What did you say, we're voting on?
Just closing the floor.
Closing the floor, I had no problem.
Yeah. All right. My motion passes 5-3. Okay.
I got a question.
All right, Alderman Earl.
You seen anybody on the spot tonight? Do we have some kind of legal exposure here if we vote one way or another?
But you're just voting on annexation tonight, that has nothing to do with the issue of the site plan.
I'm talking about annexation only. If for some reason this goes one way or the other, we had some kind of closure.
When you say exposure, you asked me exposure in front of a potential adversary. No. You're voting tonight whether this property's gonna be within the city limits. I think Joe Green felt that it would be better to have them annexed in, you just have that much more control of the property. But whether you annex them in tonight or don't annex them in tonight has nothing to do with whether or not they have a valid position that the city, through Joe Green, the city engineer, has already approved the site plan. And I'm not privy to this conversation, so I don't know what they're saying was actually said or not. But your code says that the city engineer determines that it's appropriate to force them to go through a site development plan, your ordinance says that, but apparently he made a decision, they say that they didn't have to do that. That's a different issue which you vote on tonight. If they're not annexed in, you still have jurisdiction over them, because they're a mile and a half, within a mile and a half of your corporate limits, and they're contiguous, so they have to abide by your rules. All they did with the county was to get zoned, put a county use. And if they wanna put a use in that permitted parking lot use is permitted with whatever zone they have in the county, they can move forward subject to your rules and regulations as to what goes there. Then the question is, has Joe Green already approved that? And I can't answer that tonight.
I'm gonna go I haven't talked to Joe Green about this, and I don't think he would make this decision lightly. But Hogan, did he talk to Mr. Grutucci? I mean,
I don't know that.
he's aware of we've had issues, that's why we have these hearings and things, not necessarily this. But when you have a public hearing, or you're gonna do something, it's so that the neighbors can come in, and if they've got an objection, they get to voice their objection, and we can then decide whether that objection holds any water or not, whether has any merit. And so here we are tonight, at the point of, if we annex them, it's probably gonna be a parking lot based upon Joe Green's decision. But I guess I'd feel more comfortable if Joe Green was sitting in the audience tonight, and we could ask him, Joe, did you take into consideration any of the neighbors being unhappy with this decision? And if you did, would your decision be the same, that, yeah, just forget the objections and go ahead and do it? He's not here tonight.
Those are valid questions, and we could probably ask the engineer behind me as to the conversation he had with Joe, that he only centered on the drainage issue, or they center on traffic control, or which way you come in and out of the parking lot. I don't know how those conversations went.
Well,
I may have only been looking for drainage, I don't know that.
I understand the ramifications based upon what we do tonight, but I still would feel more comfortable if we had more input, and especially from Joe Green. I make a motion on the table this.
Sorry.
Roll call to table.
Roll call to table the annexation.
Yeah, that's what we vote on, right?
That's what-
Yeah, we do.
Larry Bud?
And keep in mind, the annexation has nothing to do with the site plan, but,
Right.
okay.
Has this got anything to do with the parking lot stuff, which you're going on now?
No.
What they're voting today is to quit talking about it and not take any action.
Do it later.
Roll call.
Larry Bud?
No.
Sean Bertle?
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez?
Yes.
Rob Heatherly? Bruce Jones?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
No.
Martin Voda?
No.
Earl Walters?
No.
Okay, so,
The motion to table fails.
yeah, exactly, I agree.
Discussion on that.
Right, discussion.
The question I've got is, the concern we have is Mr. Bertucci trying to pursue getting that drive on the other side of the proposed site, correct? Trying to keep from having the traffic come down between his house and the development. You say you have 2 weeks to be able to get this in so you can pursue the funding.
That's my understanding. I don't want to speak for the developer.
Okay, that's fine. Now, to get an alternate plan in place which would allow the traffic to go the other way and get the final numbers that would come in. Question number one, is it a fixed number that the housing authority is looking at this time? Okay? If it is not, would you be able to get the numbers together to rearrange that site plan in time to give that, to submit that change addressing his concerns and getting us to basically support what you're doing.
When's the next meeting that we could present it so you guys could, everybody could take a look at it? I don't know the time frame as far as, do we have to have another city council meeting to approve the next site plan?
I'll go back to the mayor on that one, I don't.
I mean, based on the conversation.
2 weeks for the next council meeting, 2 weeks.
15th.
So I don't know if it'll get, I'm not 100% sure what the 2-week time frame was when I talked to the developer. Sounds like if it's not gonna get approved for 2 weeks from today, that it may not work. So I don't know. I can't answer. I mean, we could definitely get a plan, talk to the developer, get a plan, resubmit it. I'd send it to Joe, I guess. I don't know who to send it to for approval though. And I don't know how long it'd take internally here at the city.
Well, Joe will be here tomorrow.
Well, I
9 a.m.
think, worst case scenario,
She brought up, by law, if we do a site plan, we have to have a public hearing, and that in itself takes approval from the public, publicize that 15 days prior to the meeting. So it's gonna be advertised in the paper, and
wait a minute, we just had a site plan that was approved without going to public hearing.
it wasn't a site plan. And then we waived that, they didn't have to have it.
It's less than, didn't you just read that out of the city code?
As determined by the city.
Right.
You determine that too. But I think what you're saying, I mean, is that, I think Alderman Boulder is just asking the developer to relook at this and see if he can't rearrange the traffic flow. And everybody be happy. And so Joe Green can say, I've seen it, I approve it, but we don't need to have it,
And it's like anything else,
official site
you can go back to
development.
people and say, okay, how much more money, if you pay me to get this in 2 weeks? And, you know, that'll be, I mean, that's the question, let's face it, it comes down to money and time. So,
Your Honor, we have an issue on the table on annexation. I'll call for the question.
I've got a question.
okay, we have to call for the question, so what's the,
Need a
a second for that, or?
Need a second to call for it, but can you make one comment over there?
Make one comment.
Sure. So let's go.
All I'm saying is, if you look at the drive comes out here, the stop sign is right here. They're gonna have to come like this and try and make a turn directly to the right and then to the left. So you got people coming in here, and then they're gonna have another one right here. These people over here are gonna have to wait over here. It's really a traffic
It's a
nightmare.
backlog on that corner.
It's a traffic nightmare.
Well,
because
gentlemen, I've been out there 3 times and I've walked the property and I've seen the property.
Close to
and I've
that
made
intersection,
intersections out
seen
there.
the-
And it's not a major problem. We're making a mountain out of a molehill here. And the first thing we wanna do is the annexation. We can debate this other stuff till hell freezes over. But we're talking about the annexation of property. That's what's on the agenda tonight.
But with the annexation of the property also comes their ability to do this plan the way they've got it.
And if we do redo the plan, will it be approved in 2 weeks? Do you guys know if that can happen?
Well, if they don't need a site plan, like Joe says, then they could bring another plan to us and we can approve the annexation, and then that would go along with their plan. Joe says they don't need a site plan. That's what we changed, and like Sean was saying, you know, we need to change our ordinances. Well, we
That was
changed
on
them
what
2
was,
years ago to
that
make
was
it
what
easy.
was presented to Joe, now if you're gonna change it, then you have to take another look at it.
Yeah, he will.
Change it and do that.
Joe was presented that plan with none of this ancillary stuff
Right.
included in the conversation.
He was
He
with
just
us,
said, will
right?
this plan work, yes or no? And he said yes.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that all this other stuff was gonna happen. Had he known that, he might say, you know what, this, yeah, it might work the way you have it drawn. It might be better a different way.
Who actually owns the property?
The company,
The housing authority.
Yeah.
Okay, did they purchase it from the people that owns the land behind it?
They are in the process of purchasing it. They are the contract purchaser.
I just wanna make one more comment. The time frame is very upsetting to me. It's truly upsetting to me, because every single time that we have somebody come in here that wants to do a project, they're under a gun. It's like, get out in front of it, guys. I mean, for crying out loud, if you've been working on it, and this is no disrespect to you, I'm just saying, if the housing's already been working on it since last winter, my God, they've had, how much time do you need to get the county to rezone?
Well, it's got a while to do anything.
I mean, get out in front of it and get it done. Don't wait till the last 2 weeks and then come in here and say you got an emergency.
The rezoning wasn't a problem, they got that taken care of, the county. and they just took it for granted, based on what they got from our city attorney, that there wasn't gonna be a problem, and it's only since Mr.
I know, but
Bertuzzi
it's still
brought up the
2 weeks,
concern.
still 2 weeks prior to their deadlines to get approval.
All of those.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. The only thing, if you feel you can get the changes made in place in that window of time, and get it to us for review, I would be in support of a committee of the whole or something to where we could review this, give them the thumbs up, and they're ready to roll, rather than wait until August 15th for a city council meeting. We've done this for other people, other businesses. There's no reason that, if that's what it's gonna take to satisfy Mr. Bertuzzi, we aren't against the annexation, we aren't against the project. We're worried about the constituent who's brought this to our table. The two aldermen are supporting his concerns, that I think if these gentlemen are willing to readjust what their plan is to address his concerns and issues, that we should be able to, as a city council, get together within a reasonable amount of time, let this thing get approved, and let them move forward with their project.
Disagree with you.
Okay, well, then,
But going back, I mean, we had an alderman that was calling for the question, so I'll go back to that. We asked him to hold on a second. Is there anyone else that wants a second? That. Going once, going twice. Okay, that's off the table. All right, so, where are we? No one to vote on it. Are we gonna table it, or what are we gonna do?
Well, you already had a motion to table when it failed.
That, okay.
So,
we've had more discussion. Can we motion to table again?
You can, and I'm hearing what you're suggesting, going to me, you just call a special meeting, and in a short, maybe even let this week, 48 hours notice, have the plan on if they're willing to do it, to change the parking arrangement or the traffic flow, get Joe's blessing, come back to a special meeting, adopt the annexation, go forward.
Motion table.
Second by Alderman
That'll
Martinez.
work seconds now.
Roll call.
So what is the procedure, and who do I need to
Yes.
coordinate with?
What are you voting on now?
Yeah, they're
To
gonna.
table, or not table?
No.
Yeah.
Rob Heatherly.
They
Bruce
vote on
Jones.
it.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
No.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Motion to table passes 7-1.
Yeah.
So that means we're done talking about it tonight. We may have a special city council meeting to address possible changes. You can talk to Joe Green
So
tomorrow.
coordinate everything with Joe.
Yeah, and Joe will be here, I mean, if it helps you at all, Joe will be here tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
I'll talk to him on the phone tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if I'll reach you before you, if you head straight here, but I will.
Joe needs to have a conversation with the mayor, so Joe's acquainted with what happened here tonight.
Well, I'll wait till after noon tomorrow,
Okay.
somewhere after.
What date would you meet?
Well,
We don't know yet.
we'll have to see, it depends on how much, if they're able to get a plan together and come back to us, so.
Okay. I'll coordinate with Joe tomorrow afternoon, after you get a chance to talk to him, we'll go from there.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Brings us to city attorney updates.
I'll
This
wait.
shouldn't take long.
What are you doing now?
Billy, buried
Okay.
deep, buddy, it's gonna be close. Okay.
You're gonna soon, I think, get a letter from the president of TIBC, seeking a formative request that you gentlemen consider putting process in motion to amend the comprehensive plan and to act on a request to the zoning, rezoning for the new industrial. And I think it's towards the town. And I put together a chronological sequence of events, I'll share that with you tomorrow, of the dates, but that's what they're gonna, we've asked for a formal letter.
Yeah, I got you.
And then it would involve a couple of public hearings, to go for the plan commission, as to amending the comprehensive plan. So, and I wanted to be put out in the industrial park, that would require a change there, also changing the zone, so that's on the horizon. And I think they would like to end it all completed by the end of October. So probably in September and October, these things would be
Complete rehash of comprehensive plan.
It's an amendment, just an amendment. There's a map that's been drawn, with the green. Where the industrial park is located, and outlining, this is gonna be the target spot for new businesses in I-1. And we're told that, the president has contacted all the neighbors, everyone's on board with it. So they need to, they being the,
GDC.
TIDC, even though the very
Economic
development to get some funding, just for marketing efforts and so forth. And they have an October 31st deadline, I think, so. And we've got a chronological sequence, and I'll email that to you all tomorrow, so you'll see it. Take a look. The other thing, you got an email that we have the University of Illinois service agreements now signed. I sent it up, I copied you on it to the Unified folks. The lady that I spoke with is apparently gone today, so I've asked Dave or your engineers from Benton Associates to go ahead and make contact, that, get them to start that work and get that project moving. For your information, they signed it as is with all the changes, so we're good to go on that, so we're happy with that. And I think that's it for now, except I'll probably have a conversation with Mr. Budd of American Tower Service Agreement, because I got another email back wanting to know if I'm gonna respond to all those changes, and they never responded to whether or not they're gonna take it or leave it with us, so I'm gonna have a conversation with you, so I can respond appropriately to that. You've invited me to the ordinance committee, on the 18th, and I think I'm being invited to the water committee, correct, for these, Monaco, Kincaid, Landyville discussions coming up on the 11th. Right? Thank you. Okay, I'll shut up for a while.
Did you receive my email?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Any other questions for the city attorney? Good, okay. Mayor updates, the only thing I have, I was gonna mention the, thank you Taylorville Fire Department and the, emergency service personnel for responding to the PS printing fire last Thursday. They did a great job to keep that thing from spreading further. I mean, that could have been much, much worse than it already was. Moving on to committee reports. Discussions and or motions to approve, adopt, and or deny, and or table, and or amend, and or refer to an appropriate committee in whole or in part the matters regarding the following subject matters discussed at the committee level. Start out with the finance committee.
Thank you. First motion was to carry the 5,000 to the Christmas County senior citizens. Make that in form of motion.
Just a second on that.
Second.
Alderman Heberlin, discussion or comment? Roll call.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Burdell.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay, the next motion is to contribute 3,000 to the Greater Taylorville Chamber of Commerce to help us promote the Chili Fest with funds coming from the Hotel Motel. Make that in form of motion.
Second, Alderman Walters, discussion or comment? Roll call.
Rob Heatherly.
No.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
No.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Burdell.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-2.
Next motion was to approve the treasurer's report as presented. Make that in form of motion.
Second, Alderman Boda. Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Moving on to ordinance committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had two motions that are committee. The first motion was to allow Penny Perry and Major Leagues Incorporated to sell beer at Chili Fest upon filing the appropriate papers with the city clerk's office. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. Second, Alderman Walters, discussion or comment?
Quick comment, if I may.
Yep.
I saw this motion on the agenda, gentlemen. If you recall back on August 3rd of last year, you actually adopted an ordinance to create a Class L license for this purpose, so it really wouldn't take a motion of you folks, but.
Well, I think the difference here is that we're talking about location license, because it's gonna be up there on the square, on the street, and everything else. I think that's why we brought it back to committee.
Yeah.
Because we have a long history of not allowing it up there, so I think that's why.
I don't refer, but I didn't, you don't need to.
But we don't need to, but we ask them
That's fine.
to whenever we have these Class L licenses, that we want them to come before the committee.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Bruce Jones.
No.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Burdell.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-1. You got another one, Bruce, there?
Yes, we do. No, I was just thinking, I was looking at Rocky for a second, just threw me off. We had a motion to remove the no parking signs west of the railroad tracks on East Adams Street. Trying to figure out how you became aware of it.
Second, by Alderman Walters. Discussion or comment? Roll call.
Is that to direct me
Yeah.
to prepare an ordinance to make that change?
What's that?
Is that to direct me to prepare an ordinance to take the no parking restriction off that?
You didn't hear him? Yes, that's what you
Of course.
It's an age thing, right?
Got it.
Keep going.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Burdell.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0, and that's motion to remove no parking signs west of the railroad tracks, lead down streets, and have the city engineer prepare that ordinance.
City attorney.
Attorney, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Moving on to street sewer committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have a number of motions, we'll try to get through these. The first motion I'll make is to approve the request and grant a special events permit for the 31st Annual Chili Fest to be held October 1st and 2nd, with permission to set up closed streets, place barricades on the south side of the square beginning at noon on Friday, September the 30th, and close the whole square at 6 p.m. on Sunday the 2nd until cleanup is complete. And I have a comment I want to make also.
Good second?
Second.
Alderman Everly, go over the comment on
All right, thank you, Your Honor. We intend to have this the biggest and best chili fest that we've had in a number of years. We have a great many chili cooks that are already applying. I figure we're gonna have a large crowd of chili cooks this year. It's nationally recognized. We're gonna have more vendors this year. We're gonna be taking up more space. And we like to call it a beer garden, but we'll have the beer tent on the northeast corner of the square. And we'll have that roped off and secure. We're gonna have some bands, we're gonna have some entertainment. The only thing that we're not gonna have this year, we couldn't get it together, was the 5K race. But other than that, it's gonna be a spectacular event, and I'm happy to be able to coordinate that for the city.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve the request to grant a special event permit for the annual THS Homecoming Parade to be held on Wednesday, October the 5th, 2016, starting at 5:30 p.m., following the usual route.
Second on that? Olive? Discussion or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve the request and grant a special events permit for the annual Knights of Columbus Tootsie Roll Drive on Friday and Saturday, September the 9th and 10th, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the corner of Webster and Main Cross upon receipt of a current certificate of insurance.
Second on that? All got there first? All those in favor? Against? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve the request and grant a special events permit for St. Mary's Church Fall Fiesta and to block off the corner of Adams and South Main Street and the entrance to the alley off of South Main Street and South Washington Street beginning on Friday, September the 16th to Sunday, September the 18th.
Second.
With the comment.
Alderman Walters?
And on my comment.
Second by Alderman Loda. Discussion or comment?
Yes, on my comments, Your Honor, is because of the construction going on with the new addition to, the new building for, building in addition for the grade school, they're requiring a little bit more space. It's gonna be a little bit congested this year. That's why we're going down to the actual alley and blocking off the entrances to the alley. They're gonna use that additional space.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve the request to grant a special events permit for the 13th Annual American Legion Veterans Rally to be held on Saturday, September the 27th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon in the 100 block of West Franklin with barricades placed at Washington and Main Street. And I have a comment on that also, Your Honor.
Just a second on that? Second. Alderman Olive? Go with your comment.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. As we did last year and the years in the past, once we get through tonight's meeting with this and it's approved, then I will work with the U.S. Bank, so we will be closing off their entrance that goes on to Franklin Street, and the people will be able to use the entrance in and out on Main Street for that 2-hour period.
Motion, motion by Alderman Walters, second by Olive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes.
The next motion I'll make, Your Honor, is in regard to the engineering contract, and I'll make that motion, but I'll address it to the city attorney. Motion to approve the preliminary construction engineering services agreement for motor fuel tax funds for engineering for the FAU project of overlaying Walnut Street from Adams Street to Pleasant Street. And my comment would be, we need to tweak this resolution, and I'll just leave that up to my well-qualified city attorney to explain that.
Can we get a second on it?
Second.
Okay. I'll move that right to the attorney.
When I looked at your minutes of the meeting where this came out of, it's indicated that the contract price was gonna be 14%, the engineering fees were gonna be 14% of the estimated project at $500,000 or $7,000. When we look at the agreement, and I direct you to paragraphs 3 and 4, it actually reads differently. It says that this firm is to get 14% of the contract price, but in addition, an hourly rate plus overhead profit, and a number of other things, for resident construction and inspection on site, which is gonna be provided for this project. I've confirmed it with Mr. Walters and Mr. Budd, and also with Mr. Wiseman, that was not your understanding, that it was supposed to be a flat 14%. So I would suggest that we adopt the resolution, approve the agreement, but allow us to tweak it so that, what we're talking about is 1K. If you look on page 2, and look at the K that's got the X in it, that talks about the resident construction inspection. And then when you go over to page 3, where you agree to make payment under paragraph 1K is missing. But if you go down to paragraph 2, that's where the 1K picks up for the resident construction, and it talks about an hourly rate and so forth like that. So I don't think that was the intent, so we can change that to conform to the meeting of the minds. On page 4, the other thing we need to tweak is that the way this was set up, that when the plans and specs were prepared and approved by you, that 90% of the fee would be paid to the engineering firm. And then it goes on to say, and then when 90% of the resident construction was completed, actually when it was completed, that 90% would be paid. Well, that can't be. You know, we have to somehow start out that whatever percentage you guys want to agree to, or Mr. Green agrees to, after the plan inspection prepared, you get 90% of that dollar amount, and when you do the rest of construction, you get 90% of that. This, it may be just an inadvertent, the way it was typed up, but when I read it, it wasn't what I saw in the minutes, so allow us to tweak that contract, or we can go ahead and tweak the resolution tonight. Form it, and I can submit that to Mr. Budd, Mr. Walters, and the mayor, and you guys can tell me if it looks good when we get it done. Any questions about that?
Alderman Jones.
Yes, on that page 4, it says, by mutual agreement, partial payments not to exceed 90% of the amount. It doesn't say that it would be paid at 90% of the amount when 90% is done. Doesn't it say not to exceed 90%, which would mean, and most people you would say, yeah, we're gonna pay 90%, we're gonna have a 10% holdback until it's all done, and then when everything is finished, then we give you back that other 10%.
Actually, if you look at page 3, paragraph 3,
Okay.
on page 4,
Paragraph 3 on page 4.
the payments to the engineer for services rendered pursuant to this agreement will
Mm-hmm.
be made as soon as practical after the services have been performed in accordance with the following schedule. Under A, upon completion
Yeah.
of detailed plans, specs, blah, 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 to the satisfaction of us, we approve the plans,
Mhm.
they get 90% of the total fee of the above fee schedule.
Well, I see that, but when you go down underneath D, it says by mutual agreement, partial payments not to exceed 90% of the amount, or is that contradictory to what's in
Yeah,
the
that sentence suggests that before the plans and specs are completed, you might agree to make partial payments as he goes along to prepare.
Yeah,
That's what that sentence means.
okay, so it's not in contradiction with A.
No,
Okay.
it just allows you, if you wanna agree to paying certain of the specs. But I'm suggesting you have to get from him what he thinks, how that 70 grand, whatever it is, how much it's gonna be for this, what he estimates for the plan and specs, and what he estimates for the resident construction, and then do this formula for each of those tabs.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't in,
Not in conflict, no.
not in conflict. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Mark Everly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Oliver.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
I'd like to make a motion to accept a low bid of $103 per cubic yard SI mix with $40 delivery fee of under 3 yards for curb and guttering, and $100 per cubic yard 6-bag mix with $40 delivery fee of under 3 yards for sidewalk from PBI.
Second.
Alderman Eglin, discussion or comment? Roll call.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Mark Everly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Oliver.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Next motion I want to make is to accept the low bid of $67,981 from Moore Concrete for installation of sidewalks and curbs and gutters for the East Main Cross project.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Alderman Bud, go ahead with your comment, Alderman Bud.
I'm glad that we took this out for bid again. We got some pretty good prices here
Yes.
from what we've been getting. And I want to thank Superintendent Weissman for that.
Any comments? Alderman Jones.
Yes, I know that when we had the big job down on West Van Cross. We had curbs and gutters, and we had construction oversight there. And they made them redo some of the curbs and gutters because they didn't form to spec per se, and some of those had to be redone. I'm sure Ernie remembers that. But do we have some type of oversight, because when they lay these big long sections, sometimes they're not quite straight, and that's the reason that they had to be redone down there, and they were done at the contractor's expense through his insurance. Is there any type of, who's gonna be overseeing this to make sure that it's quality control?
Right here, identifies it.
Okay. I just wanna make sure that we had someone that was gonna watch over this project to make sure that it's done right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other comments? Roll call.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Burdell.
Yes.
Rodney Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of a variable frequency drive for the Pershing Street lift station at a cost of approximately $5,000 from Vandermeer Engineering.
Second.
Signal Heavily, discussion or comment? Roll call.
Sean Burdell.
Yes.
Rodney Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, we'd saved the resolution, we need to, we'll do that.
We have to do the resolution.
Subject to the comments that we.
Yes. Motion. Make a motion that we adopt the resolution subject to the comments and the suggested changes.
Okay. Second by Alderman Heavily, discussion or comment? Roll call.
Rodney Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Martin Boda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Burdell.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. Finally, we have a motion to approve and ratify payment of bills in the amount of $250,139.32. Bud, get a second? Okay. Voted, go ahead, Alderman Bud.
Health insurance, $128,541.02. Healthcare tax, $1,542.15. Illinois public risk for workers' comp for September, $23,071. Total insurance is $153,154.17. Electric, $5,663.95. Walmart and Ron's miscellaneous, $1,195.67. Garbage, $1,528. Unique temporary help, $3,580.53. Don and Jackie Broadus, real estate tax rebate, 17 of 20 years, $1,213.58. R&D computers system for software renewal, $1,134. Meyer Austin Romano, $6,000. Paint a limestone, $6,028.49. Police department, Verizon wireless for cell phones, $1,026.26. Fire department, municipal supply, annual flow testing and repairs, $5,861.22. Street department, Bill Tullis, $2,670. Water department, IMCO, 2,000 feet of 10-inch pipe, $16,380. Chemicals, $5,002.80. Midwest meters for supplies, $1,325.70. Sewer department, co-equipment, repairs to equipment, $1,566.63. EJ equipment for parts for equipment, $1,385.36. Subsurface solutions, a radio detection receiver, $3,945.35. Banavetter Engineering for Pershing Lift Station, $4,252.10. Aaron Ellinger, sewer tap refund, $1,750. Lake Department, City of Pana, the bike trestle grant, $1,250. And these total $225,913.81.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just a comment, Your Honor, the bike trestle, the city council in Pana did submit the application for the grant, so hopefully we can see some movement on this, and that's what the $1,250 is for, is our share in that. Appreciate everybody working with us on that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Alderman
Your
Walters.
Honor, I had a couple of comments I wanted to make. First, I'd like to compliment AJ and his crew under our trying conditions of hot weather and rain abundantly. The lake area looks fantastic and his men are doing a great job out there. The second one I'd like to compliment is Street Superintendent Dick Wiseman and his gentleman working in these hot, trying conditions in the sewers and the streets and so forth. We're getting very good quality work from all the people at the street service. Thank you.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Bruce Jones.
Yes.
Jim Oliver.
Yes.
Mike Bota.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
He's still
Ed
won't
Budd.
be
Yes.
right.
Sean Burdell. Ray Martinez.
Oh, he probably.
Yes. Motion passes 8-0. Okay, for subparagraph G of 5 ILCS 120/2.06, this portion of the city council meeting is reserved for any person wishing to address the council on any relevant subject matters concerning the city. Would anyone else like to address the council? Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second. Bertle, discussion or comment? Roll call, all those in favor? Against? Motion passes. 8:20 PM.